Oh, I love soft shell crab.
Can you say those one more time because I was distracted?
Soft shell crab sandwich
Uh-huh.
with potato salad. And the soup is a curried lentil and potato.
Okay, what's the favorite thing today?
We're going to run out of the soft shell crab.
Are you?
I'm sure you
Yeah.
I
are.
haven't had one of those in years.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, we're going to run out of that. I highly anticipate because that's a good one.
And
Okay.
what comes with it?
Potato salad. But if you don't want that, you can have anything you want. You know. I'll get you whatever.
All right.
you.
Thank you.
I'll give you a minute.
All right.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, that
She is the
sounds good.
best. You see what we've come to.
What?
I'm wearing my TV glasses for every day.
Your TV
See, my TV glasses. When I first got these, I just wore them for TV because I couldn't read some of the print on the on the menu guide and whatnot. And so I would wear these just for TV. And then I had sunglasses, which are exactly like them except sunglasses, and same prescription. And then I had reading glasses, and I have computer glasses. And now I've gotten to where I cannot read street signs in the car when I'm driving if I don't wear my distance glasses. So now my computer glasses have become my all the time glasses.
Well, mine, I went to the eye doctor last week, and then he said, "Oh God, my bad. I dilated you before." He said, "We need to talk about whether you want to go up a quarter on your strength." My two eyes are different, and I have astigmatism, so I have a prescription reading glasses. So now I have to go back to see that. But I mean, it's three. I'm 3 in one eye and 3.5 in the other. It just keeps. But if you go up, then then you have to go up more and more. So I try not to.
Okay.
Ugh.
All right, I got to make a decision
I
here.
know.
Well, this 7-layer salad sounds good, but I would want
I
some
think that's what
protein.
you got last time.
Is it what I got last
Yeah,
time? Well, I
I'm pretty
enjoyed
sure.
it. Okay.
I might just get the Greek flank steak salad.
That sounds good too.
Any questions I can help you with?
No, I really want the soft shell crab, but my glucose was bad this morning. I don't need the bread, so I'm gonna get a salad.
Okay.
All right, so I'm thinking I'm gonna do
I
something.
hear that
can-
7-layer salad's very popular.
That's what
I
Susan
had that
had it
last
Yeah,
last
I was
time.
gonna say I have served that more than anything else on this new menu.
I think I got chicken with that.
You did grilled chicken.
I'm glad y'all remember because I had forgotten, but I think
But I
I
tell
really
people you can
enjoyed
get
it.
shrimp or you can get salmon, but
No, I liked the chicken. At least I think I did.
I don't eat egg.
you don't have to have that.
All right. Well,
I mean,
but-
nothing's assembled ahead of time, so.
okay. All right, then that's what I'm gonna try. And did you put chicken on it?
I did put chicken on it, and that was good. But now I'm thinking, I wonder salmon would probably be good too. What do you think?
I've had people eat it with all three, shrimp, chicken, or salmon. It truly just depends on your taste.
I think today I'll go with salmon.
Okay, so the 7-layer salmon, 7-layer salad. with
I'll
salmon?
do that too.
But you want a 6-layer salad. You don't want eggs.
Correct.
Gotcha.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Okay.
A wee bit better.
I struggled
Yes.
with what to wear today.
I think I like the pink. It's
Well,
pretty.
thank you. Well, the thing is, I forget what I had worn one time.
I
to
do
the
too.
next,
I do
and
too.
I've worn the same thing twice in a row. I think
I-
a couple times ago, and
I know, I
so
do
I
the
wanted to
same
wear
thing.
something different, and then it couldn't be something that was at the dry cleaners. And
Yeah,
anyway,
the pink is
here we
pretty.
are. Thank you.
Okay, are we rolling?
Oh yeah,
We're rolling.
We've been rolling.
Okay. Today, we are here to celebrate Susan Boyer's new book, Troubles Turn to Lose. And I speak personally by saying this is a top one. You're at the top of your game on this one.
Oh,
I
thank
really,
you.
really enjoyed it.
Thank
And
you.
she had me fooled, you know?
Now, when the English teacher tells me I did good, I take it to heart. So, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And cheers to the new
Cheers.
book,
Thank you.
which is doing very well.
Well, you know, honestly, I feel like I don't know. I feel like because I had a gap, my releases have always been sort of momentum driven, and I lost a little bit of my momentum, and it's doing well.
It
but
is.
It's,
I mean,
I
I checked it out. It seems to be doing very well.
well, you always want it to do better.
Well,
but,
I guess. But yeah, but in my book, it's doing well.
Thank you. I really enjoyed writing this book. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell.
For a long time, I told everybody I wasn't going to have my worlds collide. But then when I had that idea for a story, to have Carolyn need a private investigator,
Yes.
it just sort of, the idea just
kept it.
it was interesting for me.
Yes.
And so I was.
And if it interests you, it's
Right.
going to interest the reader.
Right.
So we'll be talking about her worlds colliding when we do our real interview in just a little while after we have our delicious lunch.
It's a good day for coffee.
It is a good day for
It
coffee.
is.
Every
you,
day's a
Blaine.
good day for coffee. This pot drips though.
I'm
Right
gonna
out of
slide
the
that
right
book
out of the
up.
lid. I know I was trying not to get your book, but
Thank you.
I hate when these pots leak.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry. Can I have some sugar, please?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. We're waiting for our dessert.
Yes, we are.
Oh my gosh, here it comes.
There you are. Oh, that looks so pretty.
And there you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
Thank you. I have a celebratory berry cobbler with ice cream.
And I have butterscotch ice cream. So,
It's better pecan, isn't it?
oh yeah, I think it is butter pecan.
It looks
Yeah.
delicious. Okay.
Good.
All right. So we're going to have dessert while we chat about all things Troubles Turn to Lose. Now, because it's my book, I'm just going to be quiet and let Susie ask me questions.
That's
and
right.
she has all the questions that y'all had in the group.
That's right, and
plus
some of mine, and
some
so
of ours.
we're good. And I'm thinking most of you all have probably read it, but just in case, just a little background. We're on Sullivan's Island, a place of bliss, and a wealthy Charleston lady has been murdered in her home. Carolyn Talbot, who was the mother of P.I. Liz Talbot, comes to Hadley Cooper and says, this housekeeper, Bridget, has been arrested, and there's just no way that she's guilty of this murder, and can you help? And Hadley does not want to, because she has promised her beau, Cash, that she will not get involved in a case if he is involved in a case, and he is involved in this case. So now the tension gets going because her head takes over from her heart. She gets involved with trying to find the real killer so that Bridget can get out of jail. And there we go. That's for those of you who haven't read it. And it is really intriguing, and it's hard to keep me wondering, but I really did not know until the end who the guilty person is. So,
That makes me happy. I feel like I've done my job.
well, you have. So I'm going to start with kind of an overarching question.
Okay.
I mean, you're primarily you've had a book in sort of the women's fiction arena, but you're primarily a mystery writer. But in what way do you more closely define that genre for you in particular?
So I have decided that what I have is sort of my own genre. It's my own lane, and I have a name for it.
Oh,
Southern Belle Private Investigator Mysteries. I think I'm the only one writing those. But it's different because you have a lot of people writing cozy mysteries.
right.
And they're wonderful cozy mysteries. I say this to take nothing away from them, but
Right.
cozy mysteries where you have a librarian or a bookstore owner or a tea shop owner or a bakery owner who for some reason gets involved in a
Right.
mystery and solving
Right.
a crime. And then you have lots of PI mysteries where you have a gentleman with a trench coat who drinks too much and smokes cigars.
Right.
And those are kind of dark books, but I can't write dark. So what I write is a light, humorous private investigator mystery featuring a Southern Belle. And so I kind of have my own
Which
lane.
has its own
Right.
brand of charm.
Thank you.
Not the cozy like you're in a tea shop, but its own brand with the southern. I mean, yeah, it's on Sullivan's Island.
Well, and it goes back to how much I loved Nancy Drew as a child, and these detectives are like grown-up Nancy Drews.
Yes.
So they're competent. They're licensed by the state of South Carolina. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tend to think I have kind of my own lane. Anyway, that's what I call
Southern
it.
Belle detective fiction. I love
Yes.
it. I love it. I find Hadley, of course I love Liz Talbot, but I find Hadley to be a very endearing protagonist, and I think she evolves some throughout the novel, so especially meeting Liz. So I wondered if you would just address how does her investigation here and these decisions she's making to do this in spite of the promise she's made to Cash, and her growing relationship with Liz, how do you think that's affecting her as a character, both in this book and maybe going forward?
Well, I mean, I think she has some personal growth in that by the end of this book, she's self-aware enough to know that she has the heart for the underdog, and she's drawn to help people who need help.
Yes.
And because of the way their lives are set up, with Cash being a sled agent and Hadley being a private investigator who works with people, who
Right.
need help being cleared of crime sometimes. But because of their roles, it's very likely they're going to clash again. So by the end of the book, she's feeling very much like, she let him down, and I think she's willing at that point to give up her career for him.
Yeah, she's
But then-
really grappled with it.
But then he says no. I'm fully aware of who you are, and that you need to help save people, and I just want to be with you. So he's come to the realization that he is she is what he needs above all else. She's his non-negotiable, and I think she has come to that realization. But they have to kind of work it out and find their way.
Well, they compromise.
And they compromise, because that's what. Well, I guess in the end, it's not really so much a compromise, but anyway.
But the grappling that she does really do a lot of sort of soul searching.
She does,
throughout.
and I think she's somewhat independent, because she's had to be independent for a very long time, and so it's like when she is shot at, her first instinct is not to check in with Cash and let him know what happened and let him know that she's all right and all that.
Good point.
And so she's sort of coming to terms with, if you are in a committed relationship, you do things a little differently.
Yeah.
So she's becoming a little more.
Yeah. A little more malleable.
Yes,
maybe
I think
is
so.
maybe
Yes.
is the word. Well, yeah, good. And so you've just mentioned that you have sort of got your own mystery subgenre that is Southern Belle Private Eye, and so that leads into the next question. Like, in what ways does that particular setting of Sullivan's Island help shape the mood of your novel, or this genre that you have developed?
So, as you know, I write beach reads.
Yep.
And as I have said many times before, you are in no danger of being enlightened by anything I have written.
That's not true, but go ahead. Not true.
But you will not be sent into a deep, dark depression either. And so Sullivan's Island is like a happy place for a lot of people, because it's a beach it's a beautiful beach with a small town near Charleston, and so it's like a happy place to sit and read beach books.
Right.
And so to me, it's the perfect place to set beach books.
Yeah, and it's kind of a juxtaposition, isn't it, too? Because you are having to deal with dark matter. I mean, we've got a murder, and we've got some suspects here who have done some pretty grim things, and so that happy place, as you put it, is kind of, it lightens that mood that you need. You need it so that you're not, even though we've got dark subject, we've got things to lighten it. One of the things I think that strikes me in the novel, that, and I don't even know how much this is like a conscious thing that strikes me, but there's there's a big contrast, I guess you'd say, in social class differences in this novel, because we're, you know, the lady who's murdered, Patricia, I mean, she is wealthy and she's a socialite, and then the woman who is accused of her murder, Bridget, is a housekeeper. And so, and then these suspects are sort of different too. How much? I mean, how much were you sort of consciously aware of social class differences playing into the tension?
In the beginning, I think I wanted it to be. I deliberately made the story where Hadley had the opportunity to help someone who was the underdog, because that's Hadley's heart. And I wanted to have a character who had her back against the wall and really had no chance of sorting this out for herself, because she had no resources.
Right.
She had no one who was going to come and save her.
Right.
Until Hadley says, I'm gonna.
Yeah, not even those hoity-toity in-laws.
Right. Yeah, they were. If anything, they were.
Or the mother-in-law.
Preying. Yeah, they were preying on the on her vulnerability.
Exactly.
And trying to take her children. So things were just about as bad as they could get for Bridget. In that, she's accused, she's in jail, she has no resources, and her in-laws are trying to take her children, and she's just in a really, really hard place where she has her back against the wall. And Hadley, I mean, that's what she's all about, is helping people in precisely that type situation because of what happened with her friend North.
Right.
And so she just can't turn her back on Bridget once she is aware.
So very much then the underdog appealing to her heart.
Right. And so that really, was the sort of the genesis of this story, was having someone who was up against the system with no resources, and Hadley.
Yeah, and up against people with resources.
Exactly.
The mother-in-law or and others, and other suspects. So yes, very definitely. We know, and we're happy that Hadley and Cash are together at the end of the novel. But will they be able to maintain that trust? And I thought about this when I was reading it. I put myself in Hadley's place, and I wonder, would I have been able to do? I think she did the right thing. I do. I think she did the right thing. But I wondered if I had been in Hadley's shoes, if I would have been able to get involved in Bridget's situation and go against, what's going to damage her personal, has the potential to damage her personal life a whole lot, with Cash. What do you think you would have done, Susan, in that situation?
I honestly don't know. It's a tough situation, but I hope that I would have done what Hadley did. I think she did the right thing.
I do too. I do too.
It's hard to say.
It is hard
for
until you
anybody
present
to
it
know.
with it. Yeah, I think we all. I found myself saying, "Oh, I hope I would have done what Hadley did. I hope I would have been that good of a human being. I don't know if I would have been, but I hope I would have been. But it's just, that's what books do. They make you think about what ifs and look what this. Characters become sort of people in our heads, and what would we have done? One of my favorite parts of the novel is Hadley's and Liz's decision to set the trap, a kind of a blackmail trap, I guess you call it, for the suspects. It's this great plan. Well, if you haven't read it, it's this great plan to send the various suspects a blackmail message.
Time out. If you haven't read it, you shouldn't be watching this video.
That's true.
We always say
spoilers.
We're going to have spoilers.
Yeah.
So if you haven't read it, this is full of spoilers. So read it first and then come back.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Thank you for interjecting that. But they make this great trap for the various suspects so they can try to ferret out who it's going to be, to try to, they say bring money or, else this video footage will be restored. And the trap does reveal the murderer, but it's not one of the original suspects. And I just want to say how clever that maneuver is.
Well, thank you.
And tell us how you came up with that idea. How did your subconscious feed that to you?
Honestly, I have no idea. It just
I knew you were
came
going to say
me.
that, yeah.
It just came to me. I was thinking one day, okay, now what are they going to do? How are they going to figure this out? And then I thought, oh, I know. Here's what they can do.
Here's
and
who's in that brown
popped
car.
into my head.
Yeah. Here's who's in that brown car. That's why, see, Susan is a natural mystery creator and solver.
Because as you know, I am not quite right. It's just the way my brain works.
Yes, you are.
It is
but
just the
you
way
do
my
have to
brain
have you have to have a certain gift, I think, to be able to develop these twists and turns. Because I really like that. I enjoyed every bit of the women waiting for the suspects to show up and how it all worked out.
Thank you. I had fun writing it.
Yes. Now there is, and I'm thinking this is going to come up in subsequent novels, but you have a pretty powerful subplot in which Hadley learns that she has an identical twin sister, Poppy, who is of course the sister. Well, no, the wife. Sister-in-law, the wife of Liz's brother. Blake. So let talk about the impetus for this development. And also there were a couple of people in the group who asked something similar. Trudy Holt Boyd said that she loved that Poppy and Hadley had found each other. When did... wait a minute, Susan, do you have the same thing? Oh, here we go. When did you decide this? That they were family. We've known Poppy longer than Hadley, so this must have been, she's a plan long ago. Or maybe not.
Actually, no, it wasn't. I wish I could say I had planned it long ago, but here's how this happened. So I cast characters in my head, and readers may or may not cast them the same way. Mm-hmm. But in my head, the character Poppy was always a young Sandra Bullock.
Ah.
Okay, that's who Poppy is in my head. And for some reason, when I was developing the character of Hadley, and this is when, in my mind, I had decided these worlds were never going to collide. And I, at that point, I was thinking I might not ever write any more Liz Talbot. And so when I created the character of Poppy, I needed her to look different from Liz Talbot, who was blonde and a private investigator. I was trying to differentiate the characters. So when I created Hadley, just based on who she is, she has that softer side, and so again, Sandra Bullock popped into my head. So a young Sandra Bullock is who I cast in my head as Hadley. So as long as those worlds didn't collide, this was not a problem. But once the worlds collided, it became a big problem. And so I thought, okay, how can I write myself out of this? And then when I thought, okay, I'm going to have Carolyn Talbot, who has to hire Hadley. And of course, the first thing that Carolyn's going to think, although Hadley can't possibly know this, is that girl looks just like Poppy.
Yeah.
And so I have Carolyn and Liz responding to Hadley that way. And then, later they find out why.
Yeah, it's a great subplot.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun with that.
And I think you can have a lot more fun with it in the future.
Yeah.
They can start discovering some background that they don't know. We're not going to write any novel right now, but they can start doing that. Now, Liz Talbot's mother, Carolyn, who, as we've mentioned, is, of course, the person who asks Hadley to help absolve Bridget from being arrested for murder. That is just a great device, I guess you could call it, for expertly introducing P.I. Liz Talbot from the earlier series to P.I. Hadley Cooper in the current series. So, how do you see this merger of these two investigators going forward, and why did you decide to let these worlds collide?
Well, I decided to let them collide because I had a good story idea. I had always said that they weren't going to, and I really meant that because I thought it would confuse people, mostly me. And I didn't need to be getting, because after 11 books, there are a lot of characters populating the Liz Talbot world. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of new characters populating the Hadley Cooper world. Every novel can't hold that many characters. But I know that every novel doesn't have to hold that many characters. You can just deal with the ones who are relevant to that particular story. And so the book I'm working on is the next book in Liz Talbot's world. Okay. And so it will, there'll be a tiny bit of Hadley, but not much, because Hadley will be going out of town. And so this book that comes out in October will be the first book in a new Liz Talbot series. And the reason I'm doing this is because after 11 books, I don't want to say to someone, here's this new book, please read it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, there are 11 books before. Always I have felt like while readers could read any one of the Liz Talbot novels, except maybe the last two to begin with, most people enjoy reading them in order. I've tried deliberately to make the Hadley books more standalone, so it was easier to read them without going back and reading all. But I wanted to give new readers a new entry point to the Liz Talbot world. Okay. So we have the first book in a new series called Talbot and Andrews Investigations, and each book will be a Talbot and Andrews investigation. Okay. And hopefully I'll be able to maintain that where you don't have to read them in order kind of thing. But at least this will give new readers to that world a new entry point.
Gotcha. And so, Hadley can come in as...
And Hadley will be Liz's sister-in-law, and so in some books she might turn up, and in some books she might not. But it just depends on the needs of the story. Right, so in the next book, you'll see her a little bit in chapter 1, and you'll have her referred to further in, but she won't be on the page very much because it takes place primarily on Stella Maris. And it's very much a Talbot family book. Okay. It's centered around the Talbot family.
Okay. All right.
And Hadley and Poppy are both, they're going to be out of town.
All right. Okay. All right. Y'all heard it. You heard it here. Know what's coming. Okay. I have to, for one of my last questions before I go to some of these more from the group, I have to talk about the kitties. Now, I've always, loved cats and had cats. I did say after the last cat, Gilbert, died, he was my younger daughter's cat, really, and then she went off to college and I inherited him. And I loved Gilbert, but I just decided I probably was going to get out of the cat business at that point. I had some dog and so forth by then. So, and you start the novel with Big Kitty and Tiger Kitty in an unusual way, and then we end up with a murderer who wanted to save the cats, but he has no regard for human life. And I'm sad to say, I've actually known people who care more about pets than their loved ones, or seem to. So have you known somebody like Corey who didn't want the cats to starve but had a little empathy for people's welfare? Or just whatever you want to say about your inspiration for the cats.
Well, the inspiration for the cats was suddenly I had 2 cats in my household. And they are named actually Nala and Goose because my son and granddaughter moved in with us about 2 years ago for myriad reasons. But anyway, the cats came along, and while I really was not looking to have any kind of pet, because we travel a good bit, and I just really felt like it wasn't fair to the pets. But Brandon and Sierra, these were their pets, and they were going to love on them, and you know, I could love on them a little bit here and there, and it wouldn't be bad for them if I were out of town. So it was kind of, you know, a good way for me to actually have cats, because I got the good parts and
You
not
do.
the bad.
You don't have to do
If they
it,
make
yeah.
a mess, somebody else cleans it up. I'm not going to. They're not my cats. But they can sit on my lap while I'm writing, and they do, and you know, try to paw the keyboard and purr and all that. And I really kind of became attached to them. You know, I like
Now,
them.
is that, are they your first sort of cats that, or did you have cats growing up too?
I did not have cats growing up. My mother was not ever going to allow an indoor pet of any kind. And that's part of the genesis of all the nonsense with Frank Talbot and the animals in the house, because it was this constant tension between my parents, because Dad wanted to have, you know, animals in the house, but Mom absolutely was never going to let that happen. So,
Oh, interesting.
anyway, but no, I didn't have cats growing up. And when our kids were younger, we had cats for a while, and we had dogs. You know, we've had some of both. We had the usual pets that you have when you have kids, and for a while there were cats. But I did not have a good experience with the cats. After the kids left and left the cats at home, the cats would. And later on we adopted one. I can't remember how this happened, but we did have a cat, and it made a mess all over the house and was just really, really, it was frustrating, this cat. And so I was pretty sure I didn't want cats
you were out of the
back.
cat
I was out of the cat business, But these cats were already, you know, fully trained when I got them, and they don't make a mess, and if they do, somebody else cleans it up. So it worked out well for me. But I've gotten attached to them.
Yeah.
And so I guess I wanted, in some respect, to write about someone who had never been a cat person, but suddenly there were kitties in her life, and she became a cat person. So that's what happened with Hadley. She had never had cats because she thought she was allergic, just like to dogs, you know. And so it had never occurred to her to have a cat, but now she's got these two kitties, and she's gotten quite fond of them.
Oh yes.
It
was kind of fun to see how she started kind of figuring them out. And my last question before I go to the group questions. I thought Porter was going to be the murderer. That's what I thought. I was wrong. So, did you always know that the killer was going to be Corey, or is that something that evolved as you went along?
I always knew it was going to be Corey.
Okay.
And I always knew how, you know, what the story that came to mind. And again, there are big spoilers here, so
yeah, if you haven't read it,
the plot idea that I had was for this person who was, you know, a maid, or, you know, had some you know, job that was, you know, she didn't make a big salary or whatever. A single mother, someone who was vulnerable, was accused of a crime, but that was one part of it. But the other part of the story idea was that what had actually happened to the wealthy person who passed away is that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time, pure and simple. And this idea came to me one day in a UPS store. I had gone in to ship a package, and there was somebody in there getting a will notarized. And it just popped into my head like that, because there were random people who notarized this person's will. And I thought, ooh,
I could do something with that.
I could do something with that. What if, you know, someone wanted this will to disappear, and so the witnesses had to disappear. And suddenly I had that seed of an idea. So I started with those two things, the seed of an idea that, you know, somebody was going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, witness a will of someone they did not know, and then eventually that would cost them their lives. Just that random interaction on a random day, something nobody would give second thought to.
No.
And so, but that was what led to her
just
murder.
ended up being an unknowing victim.
And so I had to from there figure out, okay, you know, my murderer is, you know, he has a sister who he thinks is going to leave him everything, and if she dies without a will, he gets everything because they're all each other has, and she's out of town. And then I remembered in Lowcountry Bordello, I had a character who was a nurse and who was doing these, I think at the end of the book I had left her doing these, going with the Doctors Without Borders and all that, doing these mission trips and that kind of thing. And so I thought, okay, she's out of town, and he's going to make the will disappear and the witnesses before she gets back, and then he's going to kill her and get all of her money.
Get it all.
Yeah, and so I have this character kind of sitting there, and so I just wrote a brother in for her, and I decided he was going to be somewhat of a sociopath. So I made him that way to begin with, and I've never really known anybody like that I know of. Although I think some of them are very good at hiding it.
Yeah.
But I have not knowingly known anybody that devoid of morals who also, had sympathy for pets.
Yeah.
That just popped into my head.
But I mean, I have known them. So I can tell you, I'm maybe not a sociopath, but I've known some very self-centered people, I guess I could say, who, or for whatever reason, are unable to emotionally connect and be empathetic with people, but they can do it with the pets.
It's interesting because people can have all kinds of things
and reasons they end up like that.
Right, and I mean, there are diagnosis codes associated with some.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there are things wrong with people that truly is not their fault.
Right, exactly. Things that happen, but to make them be able to connect emotionally with pets, but not people. Anyway, all right. Now I'm going to go to some questions from the group, and I've kind of grouped some together that were similar. So these are some sort of questions related to Bridget. Megan Mincy Abbott and Diana Kuhn McGoldrick. Am I saying your name right? I hope so. And June Garrison Hancock all had some questions about Bridget, so I'm just going to throw some of these out. Megan said, do you think Hadley and Bridget will become friends down the road? I was hoping to hear more about her after she was released. I think her mother-in-law might try to cause more trouble later.
Okay, so I will never say never again, because I was real sure when I said my worlds would never collide, and look where we are. So I don't really have plans currently to write more Bridget, simply because I have so many other characters to play with.
You do.
And, every new book that I write will have a victim and someone who's accused, who has to have a private investigator help her. So there'll be a client for the private investigator. I don't generally go back and revisit those clients because I have so many characters in that world.
You do.
And I just can't, keep accumulating. But that said.
But that says to you how powerful a character Bridget becomes in this novel.
Makes me so happy.
Because people, yearn to know if she ends up okay.
I'm happy that people care about Bridget, but one thing I will say.
But Bridget's okay at the end of the novel. She's okay.
She's okay. She has been exonerated fully, and Patricia left her a nice little nest egg. And I did write this in, but I think perhaps I didn't talk enough about it because I think. There were some folks who didn't remember it because I had questions about what happened next for Bridget. And I did write in there, unless I edited it out and forgot about it, that she had been offered a job by the Talbot and Andrews Foundation.
Yes.
So Liz and Nate offered her a job, and they gave her a scholarship so that she could go to school.
Yes.
So now she can just take care of her kids.
That's right.
And work basically a part-time job and go to school. And so they're going to help her get established.
Yeah.
So she has a nest egg and a job and an education, and Bridget's doing quite well.
Yes. And that answers Diana's question about, will a sequel or next book continue the story, Bridget? And you had said something about that already. And June's question was similar. Would like to know more about Bridget and her moving forward. Does she help Hadley as an assistant? And again, you've said that she's got a good situation at the end of the novel.
I didn't really specify what she was going to do for Liz and Nate.
Yeah, but we know that she's
has a
okay.
job. Yeah. She's doing good. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Pat Tarter asks, when did you first realize you had to bring Liz and Hadley together for a story?
When I decided that Carolyn Talbot was going to need a private investigator, so I guess there were three little things three little seeds to this story that I had in my head. One is Carolyn Talbot needs a private investigator. Now, what's she going to do? She can't get Liz and Nate. She's going to have to get somebody else. So, of course, she's going to hire Hadley. And then the idea of the single mother accused,
Right.
of killing her employer. And then the idea of someone killed rather what looks randomly because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I had those three nuggets of a story to weave together. And that was the basis.
Yes, because Liz is supposedly not functioning as an investigator until now.
Right.
Again. So, and Niels asks, just who are some of your favorite sleuths that you enjoy reading?
Well, as a child, Niels, I love Nancy Drew. And then as an adult, some of my favorites are Kinsey Milhone, Sue Grafton's detective. And I really loved Robert B. Parker's detective, although he wasn't a private detective. Not Spencer, the other one. The Paradise books. Jesse Stone. I like Jesse Stone. He wasn't a private investigator. He was a police chief, but I really liked him. He was a good detective. And of course, Tom Selleck played that role on TV, so that's always a plus. But anyway.
Yes, indeed.
Let's see, who else? Gosh, I have read so many mysteries at this point.
I'm sure.
I used to love to read the John D. MacDonald, Travis McGee books. I read probably all of those at some point, but it's been a while. It's been years and years ago. So I do like detective novels, but I like it to be a competent detective.
Right.
But anymore, I don't like books that are too dark. So again, we're back to that niche that I've kind of carved out.
Yeah.
But it's what I like to write. It's what I like to read too. But it's and so I love the newer books like the Richard Osman, the Thursday
familiar.
Murder Club.
Now I've heard of Thursday Murder Club.
Thursday Murder Club and all those books, I just really love those because they do have competent detectives in that they have Elizabeth, the character who's a retired spy or whatever, and then you have, but it's a lighter kind of a story. There's humor and that kind of thing. So I really enjoy that. So there are books that are being written that are that kind of have a little bit of that, but it seems like we shy away from making these people professional investigators. And I'm not saying authors do. I think that, to be honest, I think publishers prefer it that way. And I know this because of personal experience, because when my agent has been, talking to publishers about me and all, they seem to not know where to put me because I insist on writing professional detectives, private investigators, who are, but the books are lighter and they're and they're they have cozy elements, and so that's a lane that we don't have a lot of experience with, and so there's
don't know where to put it.
No one else has blazed that trail, and I seem intent upon going off. And so I think there are not a lot of people who write that. So I'm writing the stories I want to read to some degree. But there are a lot of detectives I have enjoyed. Sue Grafton's Kinsey Milhone is a little bit of a darker character, but there's some humor in there.
Yeah.
And she's just a very interesting character to me. So there are some. Let's see. There was a character that, oh gosh, who wrote this character? There was a Holly. Her name was Holly. And she was an investigator. I want to think was it a Nelson DeMille character? I don't know. Anyway, there have been other female detectives I have enjoyed. I just have a hard time calling them to mind at this point. But I read a lot of romance too. I read a lot of romance, a lot of rom-coms, a lot of women's fiction.
Right.
And so what I write, I guess it's no surprise. I read all these mysteries and I read all this women's fiction and this romance.
So you end up
and
with
what comes out of me is some sort of a weird fusion of all that, I
That's
guess.
right. That's right. That's a good fusion. That's a good. And I think you've answered. I mean, or you would have said, but Floyd Willis asked, "Have you ever trained as a detective or worked as a PI?"
I have not. However, I have read The Idiot's Guide to Private Investigation.
All right.
I have read a couple other books on the subject, and I have Googled widely. I am convinced I am on every government watch list there is for my search history.
Could be.
But I mean, you start Googling things and you find out there are these stores online where you can buy, all these detective gadgets and everything. And so the stuff that Liz uses and Hadley now uses is stuff that, I mean, I'm not making this
State of
stuff
the art.
up.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I'm not
Yeah,
making
some
it
of that
up.
stuff is really like eye-opening.
It is. It is. And when I first started writing about putting a tracker on somebody's car and that kind of thing, it was a lot less common than it is now.
Right.
But you can't go anywhere anymore without getting an alert that an AirTag is traveling with you, because Apple has kind of put
Yeah. Well, you're
made
state
that
of
a
the
little more
art because you're
difficult.
keeping
Yeah.
up with it.
I'm trying.
Keeping up with it. Beth Austin Wurst says, I know you've said this before, that there's a little bit of you in Liz and Hadley. What I want to know is, are any of your other characters loosely based on real people?
I don't write about real people. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Liz Talbot's parents, and I've said this before,
Yeah.
they are suggested, inspired, if you will, by my own parents. Now, there's so much that they do not have in common with those characters.
But
They don't live on an island. They never lived on an island near
Right.
the ocean. They didn't have a 5,000 square foot beach house. I grew up in a very, very modest home in a very small town in the middle of North Carolina. And, the kind of wealth that these folks have, that's not something that I'm familiar with at all. But the characters, the interaction between the two characters of Liz's parents and sort of the way that they adore each other, and yet they're constantly kind of picking at each other and, that kind of thing. And some of the outlandish things that Liz's dad does,
Yes.
those things are inspired by my parents. I was reasonably certain that they would not sue me, and they never did. Mom used to read my books, and she loved them. She'd get a kick out of it. Dad never read a novel that I'm aware of, so I knew I was safe with that. But aside from those two, every character who has bits and pieces of real characters, it's bits and pieces of me. So it's
Yeah.
like Liz has
Yeah.
some bits of me, Hadley has some bits of me, and Sarah Beth Boone has some bits of
Yes,
me.
yes.
And I think I've said before, I will write another series at some point that's Sarah Beth Boone.
yeah, she's a good
Centric.
character.
I like her.
I do too.
And I identify with her probably more closely than any of the characters I've ever written. And she's closer to my actual age than say Liz and Hadley. But I think for a while I'll probably rotate between those three characters, because there's not a story that has occurred to me at this point that one of those characters can't carry.
Gotcha. Okay. And several people, had questions about the farm animals with the Easter scene, and it is hilarious. Stephanie Belcher, do you wish you lived on a farm? There are always animals interrupting the Talbot dinners, and then Holly Kautzman, I guess, or Kautzman's the Easter dinner ! Hilarious. Were you drawing on personal memories? So
Okay. Yes and no. So I actually grew up on a small farm. It was in a very small town in Faith, North Carolina, but my grandmother lived next door, and she had a small farm. She had a big garden, and she had a chicken coop with the chickens and the ducks, and she
Okay.
had pigs and cows and horses, and I mean all of the things,
you're aware.
And so I grew up going to gather eggs, and she would have like hams in the smokehouse and be making sausage in the big cast iron pot outside. And I mean, I grew up with this kind of thing.
You've got lots of experience.
We had lots of animals. Easter, I would get the little
the biddies.
the little birds, the little chicks, and so just all kinds of different memories that involved animals. But as I mentioned before, my mom was very adamant we were not having animals in the house. And my dad didn't necessarily want animals in the house, but he would aggravate her about it.
Yeah.
Because my dad's favorite sport was aggravating my mom. I mean, he would just like pick at her to get her attention. It's like if 5 minutes went by and he did not have her attention, he was going to do something to get it, because he lived for her attention all day, every day.
Oh my gosh.
And so he was constantly doing these things to aggravate her just to get her attention, to make sure he was the focus of her consciousness every waking moment.
Man.
That was their relationship. They adored each other, but they also picked at each other. And so I have written that, into Liz's parents. But there were no animals in the house. But there was a lot of aggravation about the animals and a lot of teasing about the animals.
So that makes sense
and
where this comes from.
Now, I will say, and I know I've told y'all before, there's an episode in Lowcountry Boneyard where Liz's dad is trying to get rid of the rats that are in Chumley's compound outside, and he does a thing to get rid of the rats that my father actually did, and it was crazy. And it is crazy, and that will always be crazy, but it's something that happened pretty much like I wrote it. And there have been things that have been suggested by things that he did. There was one day, Mom was trying to tell me about an episode where he had driven the truck down to the edge of the yard, to the woods, and I forget what he was doing. I think he was trying to get maybe a hornet's nest out of the tree or something. And there was some comical thing that ensued, and Mom told me about it. And I wrote that. I think I tweaked it, and I put that in one of the books. I can't remember which one. But there were some things like that that were suggested by things that he did. But there were never animals. There were never goats on the dining room table.
Right.
I think my mother would have. She would not have survived that. She would have absolutely killed. No, he wouldn't have survived that. She would have killed him. She would. It just would not have worked. But some of that stuff's just figments of my imagination. I mean,
and it's great.
Well, thank you.
I mean, obviously, because there were several people who wanted to know about that.
I had a lot of fun with that.
And Linda Farrell Watson says, how do Poppy, Blake, the kids, meet Swinton and become family?
Well, I don't know. I haven't actually written how all these people meet.
Right.
At the beginning of the next book, we have Blake and Poppy and the kids and Hadley and Cash getting ready to get on a plane, and they're going to go meet Swinton and Judith in Italy for Christmas.
Okay. All right.
So these folks are headed out of town for a holiday overseas, and it's a bonding thing for that side of the family.
Good.
But at that point they've met, but I haven't actually written the scene where they meet, I guess. And I guess part of that is because I try not to write too much backstory into the novels, and so the main action of the story is where we start, and so some of that ends up being backstory. And I might go back and write some like novellas like I did with Beginnings, because that's what happened with Beginnings. The first part that was originally the opening to the Sullivan's Island Supper Club, and my editor said, all of this is backstory, you need to cut it, and your story starts here. And I was like, but there are people who are going to want to know that. And some people do, and they buy that little novella because that's where the backstory is. So I may do something like that and put some of that backstory in novellas, but it just because of the nature of what it is, it's not something that will probably end up in one of the novels.
Right, because we writers know what matters most is present action.
Right.
That's what involves us the most. So, Pat Dupree asks, what miracle switch made you switch from veganism to omnivore eating again? Hadley was so faithful to her diet for so long, despite how much trouble it was.
Okay, so here is what happened for me. I ate a whole food plant-based diet for more than 3 years.
Woo-wee.
And I felt good. I had lost a good bit of weight, and it was working well for me. Jim was eating that way too, and it did not work quite as well for him because he was not getting enough protein, and we could tell. And because we weren't focused enough on protein, we were just eating the plants, and that was that. But then when my parents got sick, when my mom had cancer and my dad had Alzheimer's, and so I was spending a lot more time there, and I was preparing meals that they would eat and also that other members of the family would eat more often. I'm not saying I did that on a daily basis, but I was there a lot, and I was doing things, making things that people were going to eat who had no interest at all in eating a plant-based diet.
Right.
Although I did feed Mom and Dad a few plant-based meals, I could tell it did particularly not make my dad happy. Mom would have been fine with it, but Dad was not a fan. And, past a certain point,
life circumstances.
You don't want to torture people by feeding them something they don't want to eat, especially people that you love. So, anyway, I got out of the habit. I had to eat whatever I made for other people because
life circumstances changed it.
So I just got out of the habit of eating plant-based, and then my system got used to eating meat again, and I liked it. And so I just, and then too, Jim was reading all of this about how, protein was so important. And then I got a new doctor, and she said to me, I have some patients who are very successfully on the plant-based diet. They're healthy and happy. But I will tell you right now, it is nearly impossible to get the amount of protein that you need. It is really challenging, and you need 100 grams of protein every day, 90 to 100 grams of protein every day. You need to be trying to get 30 grams at every meal. As you age, she said it's very important to muscle, tone, and all this other stuff.
So it's not just life circumstances, but
it was doctor's advice as well.
But learning new things, evolving.
Right. So especially as you age, protein's very important. You can get that from a plant-based diet, but it's much harder.
Gotcha.
It's hard even eating meat to get 30 grams of protein at a meal and not overeat. Something.
Absolutely.
So it was a challenge, but now I'm back to more or less a Mediterranean style diet most days, although
today's a special celebratory day.
I tend to have a lot of those because I'm finding that I'm off my diet quite often, but I'm trying to get back to the place where I can take some more weight off because anyway.
That's what I say about all that. So like last sort of questions here from the group. Trudy Holt Boyd and Barb Mobley, they're both sort of amazed at how you do all that you do. Trudy says, how do you do this? Do you wake up in the middle of the night with an idea and write it down so you'll remember to incorporate it in your next book? How do you keep it all straight? And Barb says, how does Susan find the time to read, write her own stories, react and reply to our Facebook member post, and keep her family near and dear? So I'll just answer it for Susan. She's a superwoman.
No, I'm
Need
not.
I say more?
It's
But
hard.
you can tell us how you compartmentalize.
It's a challenge. It truly is a challenge. But I have help. I have folks to do most everything that is not either writing or an in-person appearance or the responding to folks on social media. So I do the interacting. That's me.
Yes.
But I have people to help me with a lot of things that are not writing, so that I can focus on writing. So they're actually.
You got a good team.
Yeah, I do. I have a good team. I actually have three three people who help me with different things. So there's Marianne, my assistant, that a lot of people know in Lowcountry Book Club, and there's Kate who helps me with the newsletter and with Instagram and several other things, reaching out to influencers, that kind of thing. And then Veronica does, she does all manner of things. She does beautiful graphics for me, and she does.
She edits our interviews.
Yes, she does. She cleans up our interviews, the videos. Veronica's a superwoman, and I don't think I couldn't do without any of them. They're all fabulous. But Veronica does things that would take me down a rabbit hole that took forever. Because in the beginning, I tried to format my own books using vellum and all that, and that just takes me so long. And she can do it much quicker because she doesn't get emotionally involved in every little dot.
And that's what she does all the time, whereas you need to focus on the writing.
So I have a lot of help, number one. And number two, the question about do I wake up with ideas and all that, and I do sometimes, or I'll be driving down the road and I have an idea or whatever, and so I've gotten very adept at having, I don't want to say her name because she'll respond, but telling the person in my phone to make a note. I'll do that if I'm driving down the road, or in the middle of the night I'll put it in the Notes app, and then that is automatically sent via iCloud to my desktop, so I have a place where I can see all of my notes that I've gotten at random times, and make a I have like a folder where I save things like that, story ideas.
So she's organized as well.
I try.
You gotta be.
I try to be organized. Yeah. And so I keep notes. I keep a file for everything, and try to keep myself organized.
So I'm gonna sort of end with Suzanne Steed. It's either, I guess it's Bunnell is how I pronounce it. She says she loved this book. It had the right twists and turns, exactly the way I feel. And so so I'm going to follow Suzanne's comment with what's coming next.
Okay, so next is the first in the Talbot and Andrews investigation series. And that is called Hard Candy Christmas, and that comes out in October.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm having fun with that book. I haven't finished it yet, but I'm going to get back to my desk and focus on that. I've got one library event this evening, and then I've got the Blue Crab Festival later this month, and then after that...
You're hunkering down.
I'm hunkering down until I have Hard Candy Christmas in the bag, and then... I'll start working on the spring book. I'll turn that over to other folks to do the next pieces of the editing, and then I'll get it back and all that. But, there's kind of a back and forth, and then eventually it'll go for formatting and all that. So, and audio recording. And I was asked who would be the voice of Liz Talbot in the new series. And I just really think that Tiffany Morgan is the voice of Liz Talbot. And people ask me all the time, they'll say, well, what about Loretta Rawlings? And Loretta Rawlings is a pen name for Tiffany Morgan.
Oh.
So Tiffany did the original Liz Talbot series, every one of them, through Henry Press. And so when I wanted to remake the Lowcountry Boyle audio, when I got the rights back, I reached out to her and said, how can I get you to do this?
Be the voice.
And she gave me the name of a production company that she worked through. And so Tiffany is actually how I, came across.
Cool.
Hold on a minute, I'll think it. I'm drawing a blank on the audio production company, but anyway.
Dreamscape?
No, Dreamscape is the distributor. I'll think of it in a minute when I stop trying so hard.
Okay.
Anyway, she works through them, and Courtney Patterson, who does the Hadley books, also does. And some people said it was weird because hearing Liz, her voice through Courtney when they're used to hearing it through Tiffany. But anyway, so it's always been either Tiffany or Courtney.
Okay.
There's one, I think maybe it was Postcards from Stella Maris that Courtney did, because at that time that was when I was first getting involved with the audio company. I'll think of it.
It'll come to you later.
Anyway, and I think Tiffany was not available, and I needed somebody. And so I said, okay, I need to try out somebody new anyway because I'm going to need somebody for the new series. And so I think Courtney did Postcards from Stella Maris, if I'm remembering correctly, or it could have been Lowcountry Getaway. It was one of those early things that I did. But anyway, mostly it's been Tiffany, and then Courtney has been Hadley. So we'll continue with that. And you didn't even ask me about audio. I went off on a tangent.
That's all right. That is perfectly all right. So I'm just so happy we got to talk about Trouble's Turn to Lose today. And in between this one and Susan's next book coming out, I have a book coming out in August. It's called No Way Out But Through. And we were going to say, for those of you in the Greenville area, I'm going to be at M. Judson and Books Over Drinks on August 19th. So look that up. I would love for you to come.
If y'all are in the area, come,
Yes.
and that way we can all get together and have a little, see each other in person. So
That
if
would
you're
be
in the,
lovely.
if you're
I'd
in
love
the-
to meet some of the folks in this group.
If you're in the Greenville area or plan to be in the Greenville area in August, check out the website for M. Judson Booksellers and get your ticket and come hang out with us.
Yeah,
'cause
Susan
I'll be
had a
there.
wonderful luncheon there not long ago.
Oh, I did.
So
It was a lot of fun.
it was a lot of fun.
All right.
So we'll be looking forward to the Christmas book.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
you.
And we'll see you all next month when we'll interview Christy
Yes,
Harvey?
Christy Woodson Harvey
Yeah,
next
yeah,
month.
yeah.
All right.
Good
Y'all
night.
take care. See you soon.
Bye.